Let's be real for a second. Most men are stuck in an endless pursuit. Chasing approval, chasing attention, chasing love. But the harder they chase, the further it all seems to slip away. Maybe you've been there. You send a text and anxiously wait for a response. You put in extra effort, hoping she notices. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. And when it doesn't work out, you tell yourself you just weren't good enough. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about attraction is backward? That the secret isn't in trying harder, but in doing less, not by becoming indifferent or playing games, but by becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase at all. This isn't about gimmicks. It's not about memorizing pickup lines or faking confidence. It's about something much deeper, something ancient. It's about mastering yourself. It's about embodying timeless masculine traits, strength, composure, self-respect, and living with an unshakable sense of purpose. And that's where Stoicism comes in. You see, people, especially women, aren't drawn to men who seek validation. They're drawn to men who command respect effortlessly, men who move through the world with quiet confidence, who don't let emotions dictate their actions, who have a mission so compelling that they naturally pull others into their orbit. And here's the best part. This shift isn't just about women. It's about transforming your entire way of living. Because when you stop chasing approval and start becoming the man you were meant to be, you won't just attract relationships, you'll attract success, self-respect, and a life of meaning. So if you're ready to stop playing the game and start living with power, let's begin. 1. Mastering the art of emotional control. Emotions are powerful. They can lift you up or drag you down. They can push you to greatness or leave you paralyzed with self-doubt. But the problem isn't emotions themselves, it's the lack of control over them. Most men live at the mercy of their emotions. When a woman gives them attention, they light up like a Christmas tree. When she pulls away, their mood crashes, and suddenly their self-worth is on the line. Every text, every glance, every conversation becomes a battle for validation. But a Stoic man, he doesn't ride this emotional rollercoaster. He remains centered, steady, and unshaken, because he understands one fundamental truth. Power isn't found in controlling others. Power is found in controlling yourself. The moment you let external events dictate your emotions, whether it's rejection, indifference, or even approval, you give away your power. You become a puppet, easily manipulated by the slightest shift in someone else's behavior. But when you learn to master your emotional responses, everything changes. You become the pillar of strength in any situation, the man who exudes quiet confidence, the one people naturally respect, the one who stands apart. The psychology behind emotional control. Women, and people in general, are wired to be drawn to stability. In an unpredictable world, we gravitate toward those who provide a sense of calm and certainty. Imagine two men in a high-pressure situation. One is impulsive, raising his voice, losing his cool, reacting emotionally to every little thing. The other remains composed, assessing the situation with a clear mind, responding with logic instead of panic. Who do you think commands more respect? Who do you think is more attractive? Not just in relationships, but in life. Emotional composure signals strength. It shows that you are in control of yourself, and that's a rare quality in a world full of reactive, emotionally fragile people. So, how do you develop this level of self-mastery? How to develop unshakable emotional control. 1. Pause before reacting. Most emotional mistakes happen in the heat of the moment, when anger flares up, when excitement clouds judgment, when fear makes you act impulsively. The Stoics had a simple solution: pause. When you feel a strong emotion rising, don't react immediately. Instead, take a slow, deep breath. Count to 3 in your head. Ask yourself, what is the best way to respond here? This small pause creates space between stimulus and response, allowing you to act with intention instead of impulse. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Before you send that emotional text, before you lash out, before you let frustration take over, pause. Control the reaction, and you control the outcome. 2. Detach from outcomes. One of the biggest emotional traps men fall into is attaching their happiness to external validation. If she texts back quickly, you feel great. If she takes hours to reply, you start overanalyzing. If she cancels plans, your mood crashes. This emotional dependence makes you weak. It signals that your inner state is dictated by forces outside of your control. And nothing kills attraction, or self-respect, faster than neediness. The Stoic mindset: detach from outcomes. If she's interested, great. If she isn't, life goes on. If someone respects you, cool. If they don't, that's their problem, not yours. By focusing only on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, your growth, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that comes with seeking external approval. When you stop needing a certain response from others, paradoxically, you become far more attractive, because people respect those who are self-sufficient. 3. Use Stoic reflection. Will this matter a year from now? Most emotional reactions are overreactions to things that won't matter in the long run. The text she didn't respond to. The rejection that stung in the moment. The awkward conversation that made you feel embarrassed. Ask yourself, will this matter in a year? 99% of the time, the answer is no. The Stoics believed that the key to peace of mind was zooming out, seeing the bigger picture instead of getting caught up in momentary frustrations. Whenever you feel a strong emotional reaction, try this. Imagine yourself a year from now. Ask, will I even remember this? Will it have any impact on my life? If not, let it go. This simple habit makes you resilient, preventing small setbacks from disrupting your inner peace. If you are disturbed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. Epictetus. Your perspective shapes your reality. Change how you see things, and you change how they affect you. The hidden power of emotional mastery. When you learn to respond, not react, you become a rare breed of man. You don't crumble under pressure. You don't let rejection shake you. You don't need constant validation to feel good about yourself. And here's the truth: people sense this energy. A man who is emotionally in control carries himself differently. He speaks with confidence, moves with purpose, and remains unfazed by external events. Women notice, employers notice, friends, colleagues, and strangers notice. Why? Because self-mastery is rare. And what is rare is valuable. If you want to stop chasing and start attracting, this is the first step. Control your emotions, and you control your life. Stay grounded, stay centered, and never let anything, or anyone, have power over your inner state. 2. Detachment, the paradox of attraction. There's a strange irony when it comes to attraction: the more you chase, the more it runs from you. The more you need something, the less likely you are to get it. This isn't just about relationships. It applies to everything in life. Money, success, respect, desperation repels, while confidence attracts. And yet, so many men make the same mistake. They over-pursue. They over-invest too soon. They seek validation before it has been earned. They think that by showing more effort, they'll receive more in return. But in reality, over-investing in someone who hasn't proven their value to you does the opposite. It pushes them away. People want what they can't easily have. This is a fundamental truth of human psychology. When something is too available, too eager, too desperate to please, it loses its perceived value. But when you're detached, when you have a life so full and meaningful that you don't need external validation, people are naturally drawn to you. Detachment isn't about acting cold or pretending to be disinterested. It's about having so much purpose in your life that you're never emotionally dependent on any one person, outcome, or relationship. And that's when you become magnetic. Why detachment is so attractive. Imagine two men. The first man is always available. He texts instantly, clears his schedule, and is constantly seeking attention. His mood rises and falls based on how others treat him. If he's ignored, he becomes anxious. If he gets attention, he clings to it. The second man is different. He's engaged in his own life, focused on his career, his health, his passions. He enjoys company, but he doesn't need it. If someone leaves, he doesn't chase. If someone is interested, great, but his happiness isn't dependent on their approval. Which man do you think people are more drawn to? The answer is obvious. Detachment signals high value. It shows that you respect yourself enough to not place your happiness in the hands of others. And that kind of self-possession is incredibly rare and incredibly attractive. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Marcus Aurelius. How to cultivate unshakable detachment. So how do you develop this kind of presence? How do you reach a level where you naturally attract others without trying? 1. Prioritize your life first. A man with a purpose-driven life doesn't have time to be desperate for attention. If you're constantly looking for validation, it's a sign that you have too much idle time. When you're engaged in meaningful work, whether it's your career, health, creative pursuits, or personal growth, you naturally become less dependent on external approval. Ask yourself, what do I wake up excited to do? What skills do I want to master? What personal projects fuel my passion? When you build a life you love, you'll find that relationships become a natural byproduct, not the focus. A man on a mission never begs for attention, he commands it. 2. Maintain boundaries. One of the biggest signs of neediness, a lack of boundaries. When you drop everything for someone who barely prioritizes you. When you tolerate behavior that disrespects your time or energy. When you give more than you receive without hesitation. You signal that you don't value yourself. And if you don't value your time and energy, why should anyone else? High-value men set boundaries. They say no when something doesn't align with their priorities. They don't sacrifice their purpose just to please others. They protect their energy by choosing who gets access to them. And here's the reality: people respect what they have to work for. If you're always bending over backward to be liked, you become forgettable. But when you set standards for how you're treated, people value their time with you more. 3. View rejection as neutral. Most men take rejection personally. They assume it means they weren't good enough, that something is wrong with them. But that mindset is toxic, because it places your self-worth in the hands of others. A Stoic man doesn't see rejection as a failure. He sees it as information, a signal that there wasn't a natural fit. Think about it. Do you like every single person you meet? Do you want to be friends with everyone you come across? No, because some people just aren't for you. And guess what? The same applies in reverse. When you detach from outcomes, rejection loses its sting. It becomes a neutral event, rather than a personal attack. If someone is interested, great. If they aren't, also great, because you weren't depending on them for happiness anyway. And paradoxically, when you stop fearing rejection, you start winning more in life, because confidence comes from knowing you'll be fine either way. Why detachment makes you unstoppable. When you operate from internal strength, Rather than neediness, you stop chasing. You stop seeking validation. You stop making emotional decisions based on external approval. You start prioritizing yourself, your growth, your mission, your goals. And people feel that energy. Because the truth is, attraction isn't about what you say or how hard you try. It's about who you are. When you're calm, composed, and in control of your emotions. When you're focused on your purpose, not external validation. When you can walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. You become a rare man, a man people want to be around. That's the paradox of attraction. The less you chase, the more you attract. So stop trying to impress. Stop over-investing in people who haven't earned it. Stop making your happiness dependent on things outside of your control. Instead, master yourself. And when you do, you won't have to chase anything, because everything will naturally come to you. 3. Confidence through purpose, not fake swagger. Let's get something straight, most confidence advice is nonsense. People will tell you to fake it till you make it. Memorize pickup lines, or act alpha, by puffing out your chest and dominating conversations. But that's not real confidence, that's insecurity in disguise. True confidence doesn't come from pretending to be someone you're not. It doesn't come from external validation, tricks, or social tactics. It comes from within. And the fastest way to build unshakable, effortless confidence, live with purpose. Because when a man wakes up every morning knowing exactly what he's working toward, when he has a mission bigger than himself, confidence isn't something he has to force. It's simply who he is. Why purpose creates magnetic confidence. Think about the men you naturally admire, the ones who carry themselves with power. Who don't seek approval, who command respect just by being in the room. What do they all have in common? They know where they're going. A man with purpose is focused, driven, unshaken by distractions. And this level of certainty is incredibly attractive. A man who does not know where he is going will never command the respect of those around him. People, especially women, are drawn to men who are clear on their path in life. Because a man with direction exudes something rare in today's world: stability. When you're deeply engaged in something meaningful, you carry yourself differently. You don't second-guess yourself. You don't need to prove your worth. Your presence speaks for itself. This is why living with purpose is the foundation of real confidence. Not fake bravado, not flashy gestures, just quiet, unshakable certainty in who you are and what you're building. How to cultivate purpose and unshakable confidence. 1. Define your mission. Confidence starts with clarity. If you wake up every morning without a sense of direction, it's impossible to feel truly confident. You'll feel lost, aimless, uncertain. But when you have a mission bigger than yourself, that all changes. Ask yourself, what excites me? What skills do I want to master? What do I want to build in this world? What impact do I want to leave behind? If you can't answer these questions yet, that's fine. Start exploring, try new things, challenge yourself, but never let a single day pass without working towards something meaningful. Because the moment you have a purpose that drives you, confidence follows naturally. A man on a mission doesn't need validation. He creates his own. 2. Eliminate distractions. Nothing kills confidence faster than wasting your time on meaningless distractions. If your daily routine looks like this: mindless scrolling through social media, playing video games for hours, seeking validation through likes and comments, watching endless entertainment instead of improving yourself, then don't be surprised if you feel lost, insecure, and unfulfilled. Discipline equals freedom. Jocko Willink. To build real confidence, cut out the noise. Replace distractions with creation. Build something. Start a side project. Learn a new skill. Create instead of consume. Set non-negotiable goals. Dedicate time every day to personal growth. Whether it's fitness, business, or a creative pursuit. Surround yourself with winners. If your environment is full of people wasting time, you'll do the same. Find people who push you to be better. When you eliminate distractions and replace them with focused action, confidence becomes your default state. 3. Become indifferent to opinions. One of the biggest confidence killers: caring too much about what others think. What will they say if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I look stupid? Stop. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't thinking about you as much as you believe. Those who criticize are usually doing less than you. The only way to truly lose is by letting the fear of judgment stop you. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. Marcus Aurelius. The most confident men aren't reckless, but they also don't seek approval. They trust their own judgment. They stay true to their values. They don't let fear of judgment dictate their actions. When you adopt this mindset, you become unstoppable. Why confidence rooted in purpose is unshakable. There's a reason why most men struggle with confidence. They're building it on the wrong foundation. If your confidence comes from seeking approval, you'll always need validation. If your confidence comes from external success, you'll crumble when setbacks happen. If your confidence comes from fake bravado, people will see right through it. But when your confidence comes from living with purpose, it's real. It's unshakable. It commands respect effortlessly. You don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to fake anything. You don't have to seek validation. Because when you wake up every day knowing exactly who you are and what you're building, you move through the world with a quiet, undeniable confidence. And that's what makes you magnetic. Stop seeking confidence, start creating it. Forget about acting alpha. Forget about trying to prove something to others. The strongest men, the ones who inspire, lead, and naturally attract respect, aren't focused on being confident. They're focused on building something bigger than themselves. So ask yourself, what am I working toward? What's my mission? What am I creating every single day? Because confidence isn't something you find, it's something you build. And when you do, you won't have to convince anyone of your worth. Your presence alone will say everything. 4. The power of being a challenge. There's a fundamental truth about human nature. We don't value what's handed to us on a silver platter. We value what we have to earn. This principle applies to everything in life. The job you worked hard for feels more rewarding than the one that was simply given to you. The money you earn through effort is more meaningful than the money you stumble upon. The relationships you build through mutual respect are stronger than the ones where one person does all the work. And this is especially true when it comes to attraction. The harsh reality is that predictability kills desire. If you're always available, always eager to please, and always making someone else your priority while neglecting yourself, you become too easy to obtain. And when something is too easy, it's taken for granted. That's why, instead of chasing, instead of over-investing, instead of trying to prove your worth, you need to become a challenge worth pursuing. But here's the key: this isn't about playing mind games. It's not about acting distant, ignoring people on purpose, or pretending to be busy. It's about having such a full and meaningful life that you naturally can't be overly available. Because a man with purpose, standards, and self-respect isn't desperate for anyone's validation, and that's what makes him truly desirable. Why being a challenge increases your value. Think about the difference between tap water and a rare bottle of wine. Tap water is everywhere. It's easily accessible, abundant, and requires no effort to obtain. A rare bottle of wine, on the other hand, takes years of cultivation. It's selective, not available to just anyone, and requires effort to acquire. Which one do people value more? It's the same with attraction. If you're too available, too accommodating, too eager to please, you become like tap water, taken for granted, unappreciated, and easily replaced. But when you hold yourself to higher standards, when you value your time and energy, when you prioritize your mission over seeking approval, you become the rare bottle of wine. Scarcity creates value, and a man who values himself will always be valued by others. So how do you cultivate this powerful presence without resorting to manipulation? How to be a challenge without being manipulative. 1. Have standards, know your worth and don't settle. A man without standards is a man without self-respect. Most men accept any attention they can get. They settle for relationships that don't fulfill them simply because they're afraid of being alone. They compromise their values just to be liked. But a high-value man is different. He knows what he wants in a person and a relationship. He doesn't settle just because he craves validation. He isn't afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with his values. Having standards doesn't mean being arrogant. It means respecting yourself enough to choose wisely. When you start expecting more from yourself, you naturally attract people who meet those expectations. 2. Control your time. Don't be excessively available. Your time is the most valuable asset you have. The moment you start giving it away too freely, people stop appreciating it. Men who are too available often make these mistakes. Dropping everything when someone calls or texts. Always saying yes to plans, even at the cost of their own priorities. Rearranging their schedule just to accommodate someone else. The message this sends: my time isn't valuable, I will always be here, no matter what. Contrast that with a man who is selective with his time. He prioritizes his mission first. He has a schedule and sticks to it. He makes time for others, but on his terms. This doesn't mean being unavailable just to appear important. It means actually being busy because you have a life filled with meaningful pursuits. When people see that your time is precious, they start to respect it more, and when they respect it, they work harder to be a part of it. Be a man who is too focused on his mission to be overly available, because that's the kind of man people want to be around. 3. Let actions speak louder than words. Most men talk too much about their worth instead of proving it through action. They try to convince others that they're confident, high value, and interesting. But real confidence doesn't need to be spoken, it's felt. The difference? A man who talks about his confidence says things like, I'm a high-value guy. I know my worth. A man who embodies confidence doesn't need to say anything. He simply lives it. Instead of bragging about your achievements, trying to prove your value through words, seeking validation by telling people who you are, do this instead. Live a life that naturally commands respect. Be calm, composed, and decisive, without the need for external validation. Let people see your confidence through how you carry yourself, not through what you say. Confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. The less you try to prove your worth, the more naturally people will recognize it. The balance, being a challenge without being distant. A lot of men misunderstand this concept. They think that being a challenge means ignoring messages to look busy, playing mind games and making people chase, acting emotionally unavailable. That's not what this is about. The key isn't manipulation, it's selectivity. A truly confident man enjoys meaningful connections, but he's also highly selective about who he invests in. He's not afraid to show interest, but he won't over-pursue. He's open to relationships, but he won't sacrifice his purpose for them. He's kind and respectful, but he also demands respect in return. And this is what makes him irresistible. People don't chase those who chase them, they chase those who are worth chasing. Stop seeking approval, start becoming the prize. If you've been bending over backward trying to gain approval, constantly available, or investing in people who don't reciprocate, it's time to change your approach. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to seek validation to feel worthy. Instead, focus on building a life that excites you. Prioritizing your own growth and success. Being selective with who you give your time and energy to. And when you do, you'll notice something strange happens. People will start chasing you. Not because you played games, not because you pretended to be someone you're not, but because you became a man who is truly worth pursuing. 5. The subtle power of non-neediness. Have you ever noticed how the most magnetic people don't try too hard? They're not the ones desperately fighting for attention. They don't flood inboxes with texts. They don't over-explain themselves. And they definitely don't seek constant reassurance. And yet, they command respect effortlessly. These are the people who walk into a room and instantly change the energy. Not because they're loud or flashy, but because their presence alone demands attention. What's their secret? Non-neediness. They move through life with quiet confidence, knowing their worth isn't dependent on external validation. They don't need anyone's approval. They don't seek permission to exist. And because of that, people naturally want to be around them. This is the paradox of attraction. The less you need someone, the more they want to be around you. It's not a game, it's not manipulation. It's a simple truth: neediness repels, self-sufficiency attracts. So if you've ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly draw others in while others struggle for attention, this is why. And today, we're going to break down exactly how to develop this powerful mindset of non-neediness. Why neediness kills attraction. Neediness is not about what you say, it's about the energy you project. If you over-text, over-apologize, or over-explain, you signal insecurity. If you constantly seek validation, people sense desperation. If your mood depends on how someone else treats you, you give away your power. And people can feel this energy. The moment someone senses that their approval controls your happiness, you lose value in their eyes. Because deep down, we all want to be around people who don't need us to complete them. Think about it. Do you respect the man who begs for attention? Or the man who commands it effortlessly? The difference is neediness versus non-neediness. So how do you cultivate true self-sufficiency? How to develop unshakable non-neediness. 1. Stop seeking constant validation. One of the fastest ways to kill attraction is making other people responsible for your self-worth. Neediness sounds like this. Did I say the right thing? Why haven't they replied yet? What if they don't like me anymore? This kind of mindset puts your emotional state in the hands of other people's opinions. A non-needy man, he doesn't ask, do they like me? Instead, he asks, do I even like them? He doesn't wait for validation, he validates himself through his own actions. How to stop seeking validation. Make decisions based on your values, not on what others think. If someone pulls away, let them. Never try to convince someone to stay. Focus on building your own life, validation will naturally follow. When you stop chasing approval, you free yourself. 2. Adopt an abundance mindset. A needy person operates from scarcity. They believe that if one person doesn't like them, they've lost their chance at happiness. A non-needy person operates from abundance. They know that the right people will naturally gravitate toward them. Here's a simple truth. There isn't just one person out there who can complete you. The world is full of amazing opportunities. There are billions of people you haven't met yet. There will always be more chances, more experiences, and more relationships. How to develop an abundance mindset. Remind yourself, no single person determines your happiness. Instead of fearing loss, trust that life always brings new opportunities. Reframe rejection. It's not a loss. It's redirection towards something better. When you live in abundance, you automatically become more attractive. Why? Because you stop acting out of fear. 3. Learn to enjoy solitude. Here's a tough truth. If you can't be happy alone, you always depend on others to fill an internal void. And that's exactly what creates neediness. Most people can't stand being alone with their thoughts. That's why they constantly scroll social media for validation. Jump from one relationship to another to avoid loneliness. Seek distractions instead of self-reflection. But a strong, independent man, he enjoys his own company. He doesn't need constant social stimulation. He's comfortable in silence. He knows that his happiness isn't dependent on anyone else. How to start enjoying solitude. Spend time doing things alone, reading, working out, exploring new hobbies. Journal your thoughts instead of distracting yourself. Travel alone, go to a restaurant alone. Prove to yourself that you don't need company to be happy. Because when you love your own presence, people will naturally want to be around you. Why non-neediness is the ultimate power. When you stop needing people, something strange happens. People start chasing you instead of you chasing them. You become more respected in every interaction. You develop true confidence, not the fake, performative kind. And here's the secret. Non-neediness doesn't mean you don't care. It means you're complete within yourself. You can enjoy someone's company without depending on them for happiness. You can love someone deeply without losing yourself in the process. You can want someone in your life, but you don't need them to be happy. And that is what makes you magnetic. People don't chase those who chase them. They chase those who don't need them, but choose them anyway. The less you need, the more you attract. Most people spend their lives chasing approval. They desperately try to impress. They seek constant validation. They put their self-worth in the hands of others. And because of that, they push people away. But a man who is whole within himself, a man who doesn't need approval, attention, or validation to feel worthy, that man is rare, that man is respected, that man is desired. So ask yourself, am I living for my own fulfillment, or for others' approval? Am I comfortable being alone, or do I need constant reassurance? Do I see life as full of abundance, or am I operating from scarcity? Because the less you need, the more you attract. And when you stop chasing, everything you once chased starts chasing you. Stop chasing, start becoming. For far too long, men have been fed the wrong idea about attraction. They've been told to memorize scripts, to play mind games, to act a certain way to win someone over. But the truth is, none of that matters. Because attraction isn't about tactics. It isn't about trying to trick someone into liking you. It's about who you are at your core. It's about mastering yourself, becoming a man of value, purpose, and inner strength. The moment you stop chasing validation and instead focus on building a life that excites you, everything changes. Suddenly, The things you once desperately pursued start gravitating toward you naturally. Why? Because when you become the prize, people want to be part of your world. The shift that changes everything. Most men focus on external results. How do I make people like me? How do I get more attention? How do I become more attractive? But men who truly thrive focus inward. How do I grow into the best version of myself? How do I build something meaningful? How do I cultivate discipline, strength, and resilience? And here's the beautiful part: when you make this shift, you stop worrying about attraction entirely. Because at that point, it just happens naturally. You're no longer trying to be confident, you are confident. You're no longer chasing validation, you validate yourself. You're no longer proving your worth, your life speaks for itself. And that's when people notice. That's when they start wanting to be around you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because your presence alone is powerful. Build, grow, and watch the right people gravitate toward you. If you take away one thing from this, let it be this. Stop chasing approval, start building your purpose. Stop seeking validation, start cultivating self-respect. Stop playing games, start mastering yourself. Because when you do, you won't just attract relationships, you'll attract respect. You won't just get attention, you'll create opportunities. You won't just impress others, you'll live a deeply fulfilling life. This isn't about them, it's about you. Become the kind of man who doesn't need to chase, because he's too busy building something great. And when you do, everything you once ran after will start running toward you. Blank, _ blank. If you found value in this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay grounded, stay focused. And as always, keep moving forward.